This is how Nigerian football fans and members of the supporters club announced their presence in Curitiba. Singing and dancing, Nigerians entertained residents of the city. Even the police stayed off duty to record the fun. Mama had some coordinated ATG downstairs for their viewing pleasure. Sadly, what these optimistic fans don't know is that it has been destined they will leave the stadium heartbroken. For them, it is unthinkable. But it seems President General of the club, Rafiu Ladipo, had an idea it won't be an easy game for Nigeria. He wants heaven to intervene. Inside the arena by Exada Stadium, 39,051 fans watched the game between Nigeria and Iran. 95% of that figure were rooting for the Super Eagles. At the end of the game, fans were disappointed that the Eagles couldn't fly over Iran, and they didn't hide their frustrations.
So we are highly disappointed, actually. Our boys, we expected them to perform very well, but it's like those who are the good performers, they are not here on the field. Like, they chose some of them who are not supposed to be there.
As we can win this team are we going to win? Imagine Argentina, where they have somebody like Messi, and look at Iran, we cannot win. What are we going to do in football? Which places? Who? Yes, who? We have Michael here. They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything. Nothing.
Musa is there. If we can't do anything with Iran, what else can we do?
Well, it's time to talk sports, and we're joined now by Amaju Pinnick, who is the Executive Chairman of Delta State Sports Commission. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, yeah, I mean, normally when Nigeria plays and we don't win, you get this kind of outburst. But, yeah, expected. But then, from your perspective, I mean, having seen that first match, what do you think will play out in our next match?
One thing you realize is that Nigeria is a great footballing nation. Everybody is a footballer or a football pundit in Nigeria. So, and you should understand the vibe. And I think there was so much expectations coming from the background that we're African champions, coming from the background that nobody gave us a chance in South Africa during the Nations Cup, and we came out clean, you know. So expectations were very high, thinking that Nigeria at least will just go through Iran, struggle against Bosnia, maybe come out to draw or even beat them. Then again, maybe struggle with Argentina, get to draw or lose, but qualify for the second round, you know.
Do you think we will qualify for the second round?
Yeah, we'll come to that, you know, but after the game, a lot of people were discouraged, you know, because, you know, when you expect something, it's human, it's psychological, and you don't get that thing, you just get discouraged. But we're in a very, I don't want to call it, it's a subtle group, but very tough, because the Bosnia, you know, it's not a team that you can just say you want to trample on. You know, Argentina is almost a no-go area, you know, because... So if you look at it, what are the reasons? What contributed to possibly, if you call it, what happened in the game? Going from our own analysis, from our own perspective is, one, you look at the issues of the players, they play to instruction. Two, was there ineptitude from the bench? You know, what I mean, was there a productive input from the bench? You know, if you look at it, one, I was reading some newspaper reports this morning, and Keshi was saying that the players did not play to instruction, you know. But on his part too, I would want to say that he also has some blame because, you know, modern day football is all about dynamism, it's all about creativity. You look at the ball within a split second, what do you want to do with this ball? You know, we didn't have that. Even a player that we had that was very creative, Victor Moses, was taken out for Shola Amiobi. I've never been a fan of Shola Amiobi. 10 years ago, he was called upon to play for Nigeria, and he didn't want to play for Nigeria. And then it was, even when it was very hot as a player, the English FA did not even accommodate him in the English team. You know, now that he's spent, we have brought him. Again, you also look at
who would have been taking care of the crosses, the pullovers, the ball into the 18 that we were sending in if Moses had been in.
Yeah, let me tell you something. First, the lineup. If Nigeria had all the best players, it would have still possibly been possible for Nigeria possibly be impossible for Nigeria to win the World Cup. Now, what I thought Keshi would have done was to stick to the Nations Cup team. Let me give you an reason. Let me go a little bit philosophical. That team is a team that has some kind of luck. And luck is a very cardinal element in sports success. The reason is that you might play all the games. I say ball possession, like Chelsea, Bayern Munich, two Champions League finals ago. It was 70%, 30%, but Chelsea won. That was Mother Luck smiling on Chelsea. The same thing. Nigeria was 10 minutes away from leaving the scene in the last Nations Cup. Within 2 minutes, within 10 minutes, we got 2 penalties. That wasn't any tactical input from the bench. It was luck. So there were some key players in that team that had luck that this man would have left. Keshi would have stuck to the Nations Cup team because you could see that the presence of God in that team. You don't know who among the players that you dropped that had that luck. And you would have taken them. For example, Nosai Agebo. How would you have dropped somebody like Nosai Agebo? Nosai Agebo is as creative as Victor Moses. Again, we're not talking about that. Shola Amiobi, there are some local players in our local league. I beat my chest to say that a player like Bola Salami, well tutored, well trained, well intended, will play better than anybody in that Nigerian offense. He plays like Balotelli, he dribbles, he can take you one-on-one. Shola Amiobi cannot do that. So, and there are a lot of players in the local league. There's a boy from even Rangers, there's one in Sunshine. They are fantastic players. I think we should be looking at that instead of thinking of winning the league using players that are spent.
Yeah, but if they were fantastic, if they are as fantastic as you put it, why didn't they win the CAN Nations Cup?
Some of them were not selected. Bolon, yes, was. But some of them were not selected. Let's not go into the selection process. Let's look for a way how to go about this. Now, if you look at the last game, there was no connect between the goalkeeper and the midfield and the defense. There was no connect between the defense and the midfield. And there was also no connect between the midfield and the attack. We're not playing long trust. That's the kind of football we were playing 15, 20 years ago. If you see modern day football, if a team is going to score, you see it from the defense. You see the calculation, you see the movement, you see everything, and it goes. Even if they just score the comeback, they keep possession of the ball. And look at what is technicality in modern day. Technicality means looking at your opponent, looking at the inadequacies, and prey on those inadequacies and try to get your game. But if you do not do that, it's not just making your team saying, if Messi is playing in some games, a good coach will make this Messi invisible. A good coach will make Cristiano Ronaldo invisible. Why? Anytime they get hold of the ball, you see 2, 3 players holding them, taking the balls, frustrating them, and they get frustrated. That's why somebody like Hazard, in some games in the Premier League, you see Hazard will shine. In some other games, playing like the big names, like Arsenal, bring all those coaches that have years of experience and know how to make you look very, very ordinary. They'll just put 1, 2, 3 players. As soon as they get the ball, they clear it off their leg. And once you do that to a star player, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, he becomes frustrated. He knows that today is not his day.
But isn't this the same Keshi who at that time, was that much vilified for taking relatively unknown players to the Nations Cup? And he said, don't worry, if you've given me this job, let me do it to the best of my ability. And then he got us a trophy. And if he's applying the same principle and he hasn't won the first match.
No, I'm not. I'm a Nigerian. Nigerians are always very optimistic. We are not realistic. We are very, very optimistic. I can tell you that.
Isn't optimism part of being realistic?
Optimism, there are 3 different things. There's pessimism, which is you always feel you will fail. There's optimism, which means you always aspire, always, whether dogmatically, objectively, subjectively or objectively, you always feel you will pass. You don't know how you will pass. That's optimistic. I will pass. Reality means this thing is blue. Let us call it blue. It has to do with sports science. Again, I'll tell you the definition of science. It is that which is observable. This thing is black. Call it black. That is it. So Nigeria, can we win the World Cup? Based on sports science, Nigeria cannot win the World Cup. What is sports science? You have a player that's 23-year-old. If he's taking medication for a 23-year-old player. Now you have a player that is 13-year-old taking a medication for a 22-year-old. How do you want him to get ill?